The link is always in the show notes. Make sure you're following that. We are starting all over from scratch. So come
Mm-hmm.
follow us over there. And now it is time for tea time. Today our topic is I quit healing.
Mm.
Here is what happened.
Mm.
So we're going to talk about what happens when we make that conscious decision to not heal. What
Mm-hmm.
is the impact? What is the result? Last week we talked about what healing means, or we sort of tried to define healing. So let's just do a quick recap.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think healing is?
So I said last week that I think healing is first acknowledging that there was some trauma or some hurt. And healing is just the act of trying to not necessarily forget the
Mm-hmm.
trauma or the hurt that happened to you, but trying to find ways that you can help yourself if those said traumas or hurts kind of come back full circle around to you. So then now you have some tools in your toolbox to help you combat those traumas instead of just being helpless to it. And then that's kind of like self destructive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I said something to the effect of it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental. It is a commitment to accepting yourself, accepting your past, accepting your hurt, and choosing what you want to take from it, choosing what you want to leave, right? And committing to become a better version of yourself because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens? And we also talked about how you know when you need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens have you ever been in a space where you're like, I know I need to do the work, but I'm not gonna do it?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been in that space. And I think, I was at that point kind of after having my son and kind of
Mm.
getting back on the dating where I was just like, okay, well, I just need to be back because, I need to be. I was in a long term relationship for a long time. I was a mom. Like now I just want to be out here living my best life. So I was kind of like, well, you don't need to do any work. Like just get back out there and, see what happens. And what had happened was
What happened was that's when
I
you know it's real.
yeah, what had happened was I was just falling into the same cycles over and over and over again. Like not trying to do the work led me to have the same lesson over and over and over and over again until I was finally like, okay, I'm done. So for me, I did do that. I kind of jumped back out there, was talking to like multiple men, like just living my free best life.
So what
Um
was the trauma? What was the trigger that caused you to need healing?
so the trauma was figuring out, okay, well, why doesn't my relationships work? Like what's the issue? So then thinking back, like the issue was just my relationship with men in general, starting with my dad, and what that relationship looked like or lack thereof. Like there was no relationship. So for me it was just like looking for my dad and all the guys that I was dating or trying to fill that void with them versus trying to heal from the trauma that I did have from my absent father.
Okay. And so then you at the time you so did you consciously say like, okay, I need to at the time did you know that what you needed healing from?
I did not. No,
Okay.
I didn't. I did not know what I needed healing from. I always knew that there was a void in my life. Like I knew obviously that my dad wasn't around.
Mhm.
And I knew that that was a issue for me. But me being me, I was like, I'm not worried about it. Like I'm okay. Like I'm not really hurt by this. But of course, I found out that I really was hurt by that, and I needed to do some healing work around that. But I think for me, it was just like, well, I'm gonna just get out here and I'm going to help myself by filling the void because this man that I'm talking to, he's going to do that for me. And I'm going to show him that you're gonna love me and I'm gonna do everything he wants me to do because he's going to love me and not leave me. So
Mm.
yeah. So that's kind of where that was coming from. So in my mind, I was like, well, I don't need to sit down and reflect or, pinpoint where the trauma came from or do some like really deep diving work on my inner self or my younger self. I didn't want to do any of that. I was just like, I don't want to. I just want what I want, and what I want is to be in a relationship and be loved and for this person not to leave me.
And how what happened?
It was the same people, so it didn't work, of course. So when you try to, do things that way and you skip a part and you try to skip the process and skip a step, then you are going to keep being in that same kind of like the little wheel that the gerbils be in, and they just be running and running and running. Like that's kind of what that reminds me of. Like it's just this never ending wheel that's just spinning and spinning. Because you need to stop and get off and do some of the work. Like you just cannot skip pieces of healing. Like that's not gonna happen in any situation. So for me, I was definitely just trying to, cope in the way that I knew how to cope. And in that way was to just keep moving forward to the next person, the next person. And it was, I'm not even lying to you. I was literally like, I was with the same dude over and over. It was just different forms of him, but it was the same guy every single time. And then it started to get a little scary because they had like the same interests or, little stuff will remind me of the other one. Like then they kind of had like similar backgrounds and things like it was just like, this is ill. Like I haven't learned my lesson because I keep being involved with the same exact person. And this is not helpful for you or for them. So I really had to realize like it's you. You're the reason why your relationships aren't working because you try to bypass the healing that you needed to do. So I think once I got to that point, and that's hard to admit, especially I think for women to admit like your fault in it, like, well, it's them, like they did something to me. And I'm sure they did, but I think for me, for my healing purposes, like I really had to be real with myself to be like, okay, it's you. Like you have some issues that you did not work through, and then you're carrying that into these relationships. And that's where the deterioration of the relationship happens because you have all of this baggage or this unhealed baggage that you needed to deal with, and now you're just bringing it from one person to the next person.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Child, I too have fallen short of the glory.
Ooh, Jesus, we're only human. Hey.
Indeed. No, but for me it was so the first like my first real relationship,
Mhm.
I did the work. Like I, read
Mhm.
all the self-help books. I like took a break, took a pause, like took years to myself to like try to repair and do all that.
Mhm.
And then I met this guy. He was unlike the other guy, right? But everything was fine. Everything was going okay. But I think a part of me knew that long term it wasn't going to be a good fit.
Mm.
So I think it would have been better if I would have just been like, no, you know what I mean? Like, I know you want this long term. I don't. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to get my feet wet, get back
Yeah.
out here. Right. The guy was really nice. He was a really great dater. He was every weekend we had plans to do something. He was very willing to accommodate my schedule. I, was working 3 jobs and doing whatever, being in school. So he was very accommodating and all of that. Um, and then that relationship took a turn. Then things got a little ugly,
Ooh.
right? And I didn't do the work.
Mm.
I didn't do the work. I ended up later on. I ended up finding out the guy was cheating on me, and I think I told y'all on
Mhm.
one of the other episodes. Shouts out to my friend Brianna.
Yes.
She it was like the end of a semester, and she was supposed to come from Chicago to hang out with me or whatever. And for whatever reason, my mom, I didn't have a car. I was
Yeah.
gonna get my mom's car, and um things, I don't know, her schedule got weird or whatever, but in any case, I ended up finding out that guy was cheating on me. Like the timing just aligned for
Mhm.
me to like physically see it, even though I felt it. And
Yeah.
and that was actually why Brianna was coming, because I called her and I was like, I just know. And she's like, but
Mhm.
you don't have any proof. And I was like, I can feel it.
Yeah. My gut
So
said.
shouts out to Brianna, because she is always like, she understands what I mean when I
Mm.
say I feel it. And she was like, it's okay, I'm coming, we're gonna hang out and blah blah blah. And then there it was. But I chose, and I made the conscious decision not to heal after that,
Mm.
because I was like, ain't nobody else healing. I'm a college student. I am in my 20s. I'm young. I just want to have
I
fun.
just want
I'm
to be
I'm
out
done with this.
here.
I'm done. Like I'm just done with it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do this no more. How many times must one heal? But the answer is
Jesus.
every time that one is hurt.
Listen, every single
but
time. You hear us?
but I can honestly say that I made the deliberate, conscious
Mm.
decision. Like I was like, oh, I should probably do. Then I was like, I'm not. Like I literally chose. I'm not gonna do this. So I was like, I just want to have fun, blah blah blah. So I ended up meeting this other guy, and I did have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And then things took quite the turn. I ended up actually falling head over heels in
Mhm.
love with this guy, right? Even though in the beginning I told him I don't like you, I
Yes.
don't want,
This will
I
never
don't
work.
want you,
It was a
all of
never,
that,
never,
right? Never,
never.
never,
Never,
ever,
never.
ever. And I do recall you and Scarlett being like, "So what's going on?" I was like, "Nothing."
Say,
Don't ask because it ain't nothing to talk about.
who said
Who are you talking about?
who are you? Who is that?
Who is that? But but I will say this though, when things took a turn, because I ended up falling head over heels, and he was like,
Mhm.
"No, this ain't what that is," and I was like,
Mhm.
"What? Oh
Said, how
no!"
dare
But
you?
one thing though that I can say is I never blamed him.
Yeah.
I never
Nope.
blamed
You never
him. I
did.
never was like, "Oh, he this and he that." I never
Yeah.
did that. I blamed me because I knew what I did.
Shout out to us for being accountable.
Accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely blame myself
Absolutely.
for that one because I was like, um, well, number one, I knew the decision that I made was unlike who I was. And I think
Yeah.
that that's where I felt like the big dishonoring of myself came from, right? Because you know who you are, right? You can't be like everyone else.
Yeah.
So everybody else can do whatever they can do. That's not who you are. That has never been who you are. Why do you think this is going to start now?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I have a sense of being accountable for myself, so I felt like I was just being reckless, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, this is what you get. And actually, I wrote that in my diary.
Oh
I
wow.
said, well, it said, this is what your ass get. That's what it says.
Hey, listen. Because again, I mean, we know, like
Well, I
and
walked in eyes wide open.
yeah.
So I didn't feel deceived.
Yeah.
I didn't feel played. I didn't feel I'm the one who
Because
was
this is what
like,
I said I
nah,
wanted.
exactly.
Yeah.
I signed up literally on the dotted line. And so
Mhm.
I felt like I got what I asked for.
Mm.
But for some reason, I didn't want to accept it as it was.
Yeah.
So there
Well,
was just like this like conflict inside of myself.
and I think we talked about this a little bit, like the heart and the mind. Like it don't know. Like your heart don't know that you was just playing in your mind.
That's exactly what Pastor Sheree said. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, we just kicking it, and he was like, your
Mhm.
heart don't know that you just kicking it.
Nope.
Your heart, and your like they're not aligned.
Yep.
So if it's gonna look and act and feel like something,
Yeah.
that's what your heart thinks it is.
Yep.
So you can't just be playing.
And they be like, oh,
Right. Well, you got to answer to that, and I
yeah.
did. I had to answer
Yeah.
to that. So
Yeah.
so yes, child,
Tell
I
me
too
about
have
it.
fallen short of the glory.
Yes, tell me about it. And when it comes to matters of the heart, it is hurtful. And and the minds is the same thing. Like I feel like for me, I was definitely my mind and my heart was not in alignment because I was trying to force like love on people who, for one, they needed to heal themselves. So it's like two broken, unhealed people together,
Right.
and it's just adding gasoline to a flame, and it was just a mess. So now we're both like
Beautiful bonfire, child.
beautiful bonfire because we all need to do some healing. And I was just jumping into it. Like I would take like small breaks, like maybe a year here and a couple months there, and then I would like get right back into it and just be like head in, like all in. Like this is the person I want to be with. Like planning my wedding. Like it's gonna be great, happily ever after, and still not even thinking about like, girl, but what's hurting you? Like what is the root issue that's hurting you? And I never thought to think of that until like recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, that's true. That's
yeah.
true. But yeah, but boy, did I have my work cut out for me after that.
Girl, same. And I think I'm still in the midst of the work that from all of that, like just past relationships and really being by myself. Like, I sometimes I do be like, okay, I think I'm ready for a relationship. But then I'm like, nope. No, like I'll be kind of like
Double
jumping in.
dutching, like, am
Yeah.
I getting in? Am
Am
I
I
out?
ready?
In or out, in
No,
or out.
I'm not
Yeah.
ready because that's triggering me. Like that's gonna make me mad. Like even talking about like one of my non-negotiables, like the kid under 5, like that is a trigger for me. Like I see dudes
Mm.
with kids and I just be like, nope. I'm
Just because I used to
traumatized.
think that was cute, but
Right.
now
But
it's a red flag.
now I am traumatized from that whole experience. Like I can't even do it. So it's like still working through some of my past traumas to this day.
That's so funny that you say that though, because my first boyfriend, he did have children, and after that, I was like, I don't want a guy with kids. Period. No
Mhm.
thanks. Because the
Listen.
kids get attached, you get attached to the kids, and then it's like, oh, you
Right.
just gonna leave my kid? Sir, you cheated on me. Yes,
Right.
I'm
What do you
leaving
expect me
you
to
and
do?
your child.
Listen. We breaking
The
up.
child don't belong to me.
Listen.
Maybe you should have thought about that when you were cheating, right?
Exact. Did you tell your
This is
child that?
right. This is the consequences of your actions. Your child is getting hit in the crossfire.
Hey.
Okay, next time, be considerate of your own child.
Right. That's
But
your
me,
kid.
I have to be concerned about me because you're concerned about your child. You're not concerned about me. So who's
No.
thinking about me in this situation?
Don't try
No
to
one. Okay, let me do that.
guilt me to be with your child. Like guilt yourself. Like you did this to your child.
Exactly.
Like that's your kid. So yeah, like those
Yeah,
it's
but I was
tough.
strong on. Nope.
Yeah.
Everything will be going fine. Oh, you had. Excuse me.
Say what now?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a
No.
no.
It's a big
It's a no.
no.
Now it is a strong preference. It's a strong preference. It's not like a non-negotiable, but it's definitely a
Like,
strong preference.
you know what? Yeah,
Strong
definitely.
because it's just more complicated.
It for sure is, and that under five is strong no, like capital N, capital O, period. Because this is too new. Like y'all was just having a kid like yesterday with kids under five. Like you're too new for me. So yeah, so still, I feel like I am still working on the healing piece, and now I'm really taking it seriously of what that looks like because I don't want to continue to be in that wheel or that cycle. Like at a point you get tired of that. Like I cannot keep being in this cycle over and over and being with the same guy over and over again. Like this cannot be it. So I think I was at that point where I was just like, nah, not healing did not serve me well at all. Because
Yes.
I don't know
Same.
who I thought I was to just skip pieces, but that is a part of, our development. Healing is a part of
So,
that.
but what made us say no? I'm going to make the conscious bad decision not to heal.
Because healing takes work. Like you gotta do work. You gotta be proactive. You gotta do your part in it. You could do whatever you're gonna do. You could seek therapy or journal or pray, but there are so many pieces in it. And if you are not engaged in your healing, it's not gonna work. Like it's not gonna help
Right.
anybody. And especially it's not gonna help you. So I think for me in my case, like I didn't want to do the work. I was being lazy. Like, well, maybe it's not like trying to talk myself into it. Like that ain't it. Like you not really hurt. Like you ain't been around your dad your whole life. Like you can't miss something you never had. Like just talking myself out of it. But it's just like, girl, you have some deep issues with that. Like you could front and bury it all you want, but it's gonna keep showing up in your relationships until you figure this out.
Right. And for me at the time, I was actually in the process of repairing the relationship with my dad. So that was like happening, you know, but I don't know, like maybe I just didn't make enough progress at that
Mm.
time. I don't know. But I think for me, my denial wasn't necessarily what my I knew I was angry. Well, I wasn't angry. I knew I was hurt by my dad.
Mhm.
Like he knew that too.
Yeah.
That was abundantly clear between both parties. I do think that with the guy that I was dating, I told myself, I was like, well, you didn't want him no way.
Right.
Like that's what I was telling myself because I was like, every time he was trying to get you to commit, you were like, no, let's
Yeah.
just, let's just keep dating.
Right.
I like it where it is right here. Let's not.
No titles.
But no, exactly. No, no. Who needs
You don't
titles?
need to
We're
do that.
young.
Like,
Who needs to do that?
just having fun
But just
here.
having fun, right? Who needs commitment? What? How old are we? 30?
Ooh, right.
Who needs to do that?
We do not need commitment.
But I think I didn't want to acknowledge that I was hurt because I was like, well, you didn't want him to know it. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's true because you were unwilling to commit, right? And I was listening to something the other day where a girl was like, okay, if somebody wants you, they commit because they
Yeah.
want you, right?
Yeah.
They don't be like, oh no, and I was like, wow, like it really made me reflect on that situation. And I was like, and that was the other thing too, right? Is I felt like that was my other wrong in the situation
Mm.
is that okay, if you know you don't want him, then leave him
Yeah.
alone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Why, if you don't want him, then leave him alone. So you
Yes.
signed up again.
Yep.
Because that's what you get for playing with fire.
Yep.
You know?
Plan.
How do you think you can sow these seeds and not reap the harvest of what you sown?
Mhm.
You know, and I can't even act like, oh, I didn't know that I wasn't in, like I knew. I kept evading the question. So I
Yeah.
knew.
Good and
And
well.
per my diary,
Yep.
I knew that I was like, this ain't it. I literally wrote in there, and y'all just, y'all just gonna have to accept what I'm about to say. I usually don't say this, but this is what my diary says. I said I can do better than this.
Mm. Mm.
I literally felt like I can do better than him.
Wow.
So that's what it said.
Mm.
And yeah, and do I regret anything with him? No, like I don't think that we were good long term for each other.
Okay.
I think if that would have continued, there'd be maybe a divorce. I don't know,
Yes.
right? But
Okay.
I don't think, but I think that if I knew that, I should have acted accordingly.
Mhm.
There should have been
Mhm.
the alignment, right?
Yep.
It should look, feel, and sound like
Yes.
this ain't it.
Yep.
But I was over here sounding and looking like this could be it.
It could
But
be.
in my mind, I
Ooh.
was like, girl, this ain't it.
Listen here. Now you preaching. Cause yeah.
But the hurt part of me just wanted to continue to accept all the good, the
Yeah.
benefits of
Yeah.
what came with the situation,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, but I just didn't want to commit because then I felt like, oh, if I commit, then I got to be accountable to this.
Yep.
But you got to be accountable to you, commitment or no commitment.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what you gonna do?
Ooh, what are you gonna do?
What you
And
gonna do?
you just said something too that made me think about my experience with it. Of just accepting whatever was given to me or thrown at me. So, for me it was a lot of like, oh, you so pretty, okay, like let's jump in each other DM, like we liking pictures. So very like surface level stuff. And it just I didn't even know what I wanted out of a man or from a relationship. Like I had no clue like what my standards were, what my non-negotiables were, like none of that. Like I knew I wanted to be in love and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like love was going to pull me through. We was going to prosper together. um
Shouts out to love.
Shout out to love, but that now that I know, in the work that I'm doing and healing, like love that's at the bottom of the list. Like that don't that's a
Right.
small
Love is a
smidgen.
choice. So
It's a
look.
choice. It is not even. It's like a dot on everything else that has to happen. Um, so for me, I was definitely just accepting whatever, and then the last relationship that I was in, I just felt like I knew in my heart, and you and I had conversations about it too, and I was just like, this ain't it. Like I knew it in my heart. Like
Mhm.
we should not be together. Like this ain't right. Like I wanted it out, but I didn't want to say it.
Yes, but why? Because if we know that this ain't it, and that's why now, like if I know something ain't it, oh, I'm gonna tell you as soon as I realize it ain't it. Because I ain't I know better now. I knew better then, right? So I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna act like I didn't know better then because I did.
Yep.
I just wasn't willing to own it and be responsible in that
Same.
moment, right? I was 20 whatever, and I was just like, let me
Let
just,
me see.
slither,
Let's see.
slide just a little bit. Well, maybe
Just a
it
little
could work,
longer.
but it's like, girl, you already know that this ain't it. So, do you know that this ain't it? Then, of course, eventually he's gonna be like, okay, she playing with me. I'm about to go,
Let me go.
with
Yeah.
somebody who actually want me, because
Yeah.
she don't.
She don't. You keep telling
We
me
keep
that.
doing the same circle.
Yep.
Every week
That
he's
same
trying to commit, and
dance.
I'm saying no. I'm not even saying no. I'm saying, oh well,
Let's just
maybe
see.
when I graduate, like,
Right.
just girl, just say no.
Let's just
It's a
keep
no.
it where we at right now.
It's a no.
We're good.
Right.
But yeah, I was definitely in that situation where I just couldn't do it because I felt like then I'm missing out on this love that I wanted so bad. Like if you let this go, then you won't have anything. And it was like I knew it, and he knew it too. And it's sad because he would ask me all the time, like, okay, is this what you want? Like, you want to be with me? And I would just be like, yeah, like, bro, stop
Right.
asking me that,
Eventually,
bro.
yes.
Right. I think I do.
Absolutely.
Like, this could work, but now in the healing work that I did, I knew better, and
Yeah.
I should have just been like, nah, like, let's save each other some heartache and some.
It's just unnecessary. It's
It
like
is. It
self-inflicting
is
wounds. Like,
self-inflicted. Yes, and now you gotta do some extra healing on both of our behalves
exactly.
because
Now you didn't hurt them and you. Okay?
right,
Because you want to
like
be a punk and not say no.
punking out with that FOMO,
Jesus.
fear of missing out, because you feel like you have to be in this
Yeah.
relationship
I
with
think I wanted
somebody.
my kid too.
Hey, listen,
However, that
that's
saying, even though
that
that
is
saying
it.
makes no sense, because if you have cake, you should want to eat it, but whatever.
Right. Like, and if it's
But
my cake, like, duh,
right, exactly.
it's
Somebody needs to
mine.
explain that saying to me because it makes no
Right.
sense. But in any case, yeah, I think that there was just the like, oh, well, what if there's not anything better? Like, let me
Mm.
hold on, like a
Yes. Yep.
scarcity mindset.
That
And
part.
then two, it was like, well, he's really good to me, so I don't really have a
That
reason.
part.
But the reason is that you don't want him.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
Like,
You
and
just
you knew it in your gut. Like, I
right.
literally felt like I was drowning every day. Like, that's how bad I knew it. I knew I was not supposed to be in that situation,
Mm,
but I just could not, for fear of missing out. Like, he is a great guy. Like, on paper, like, this should be working. Like, what's the issue? But the issue is that no, girl.
I heard someone say it was like signs that he's not the one. And it was like, if you ever find yourself saying he's good on paper, that
Listen,
was like one of the red flags.
that
And I was
is
like,
probably
dang.
number one.
So I was
Number
like, well, that
one.
crosses 5 people off the list.
It's a big red flag. Like, girl, on paper, what?
Jeez.
So, but in
No,
real life,
but
no. But no.
yeah. And I mean, and I think that that's something that I needed to be able to articulate in my mind, right? It's like, just because somebody is a good person doesn't mean that they're the right person for you.
For
The
you.
good person
Yeah.
and the right person mean the same thing.
Sure.
So it's possible for them to be a great person for
Sure.
someone else.
For somebody else. And by all means, I hope all of my exes are happy and they heal and they get what they
All of
want.
them, like,
All
geez,
of them.
all of
I
them.
just want all y'all, because I want the same for me. Like,
All of y'all.
we all gotta heal, and the right person will be aligned for us, and we won't have that feeling. Because I never want to be in another relationship again where I feel like I'm literally drowning in it.
Yeah. I don't want to be in a relationship where it's unequal, where I
Yeah.
feel like they're too into me or
Mm.
I'm too, like, or it's one sided.
Yep.
Either way. Like, I don't, because I felt honestly very guilty the whole time
Mm-hmm.
because I was,
Hey, listen.
quite frankly, I just was. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, definitely after that, I was like, that's one thing. And that's in my diary, I was like, through the reflection, because first I was mad at him because he did cheat. But then
Oh,
eventually I was like, but you started this. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, you knew that you had no business even being here. So if you were in the place where you were supposed to be,
Yep.
he wouldn't even have this opportunity. So
Because in his mind,
yes.
y'all was just kicking it. Like, we're just having a good
Well,
time.
no, I think in his mind he was like, okay, I've been chasing this girl for
Mm,
every week. I'm taking her out. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. She keeps stringing me along. I
mm.
think eventually he was like, well, I'm about to go see what this girl wants
Because
me.
she's want, yep. Because you said that she
So,
wants me. Yeah,
mhm.
for sure.
So I think that
But boy, don't be listening to people because they won't. No, I'm just kidding. Don't you do
but
that.
right. So that was the result, right?
Yeah.
But like, what precipitated the action? I don't know. It's debatable, right? But at the end of the
Hey.
day, I knew what I knew, and I didn't act on the information that I had. And for me, you are responsible for the information that you have. And what I
Hmm.
definitely knew for sure, regardless of if you cheated or not, I knew that he did that it wasn't it.
Yeah.
I knew that. And
Man.
that's why now, like, that was one of the commitments to myself that I made. Like, I was like, if I ever know that something isn't it could be a job. I don't care what it is. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to
Yeah.
ever string somebody along. That's manipulation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever phase out. Oh, I'm just gonna not answer. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
own it. Being accountable means owning it, speaking it, saying it, and standing in it. That's what
Hmm.
that means, and in dealing with the consequences of it. So however he reacts or responds, that's what it is, because that's what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't
Mm.
get to choose how people respond to you.
You don't.
So
You don't.
So
Man,
yeah, so that's one thing for sure that I was like, never again will I do this.
I
Because
swear.
even my 20 whatever year old self knew better. So I can't even act like, well, I didn't
Child.
know. And like, no, I knew.
Well, I was 30 years. Like, this was just
This was last
recently.
year.
So for
Last year during this
me, it's
time.
like
No.
still learning the lessons.
That
Like, this
is,
is hilarious. But when you know better, you're supposed to do better. So
yeah,
within
there's a
that,
gap
it
between the
listen,
knowing and the doing.
yeah, there is
Because
a huge
the
gap.
the gap is the choice.
Yep.
Like you can know and still choose not to do. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
chose the path of least resistance, but it blew up in my
You
face.
could definitely know and still make the choice. Cause I did too. Cause I had literally just got out of a relationship that was a long term relationship where we lived together. We had a whole kid. So of course my feelings was hurt from that. Like I wasn't even emotionally prepared to date anybody because you didn't even heal from this relationship that
Yeah.
just ended. Um and I saw a meme like that on like Justin LeBoy's account that was like, ain't nobody healing no more from relationships. I'm just going to the next person. And I'm like, that's a dangerous game to play because you
Yeah.
do carry that. You carry those that whatever that trauma was from one relationship to the next, and it's gonna show up
And you inflict it on the other
on the other
person.
person unwillingly. Like, ask me, do I want to deal with this stuff? Like, don't just come over here with all this stuff. Like, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah, definitely unwilling to the other party,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Definitely unwilling to
and
them.
that's not.
But misery loves company.
They do, they do, and that's why I'm like, I probably gravitated to people that also needed to heal because that's what I needed to do as well. So it's like we good because we both have this energy that we have some healing that we need to do, and we
Right.
are choosing
Yeah,
not
I
to do
mean,
that.
and absolutely right. I'm sure that they had their own things that they needed to heal from. But I guess from my standpoint, I was like, that ain't my responsibility. My responsibility would have been to recognize that I shouldn't have been here in the first place. Right.
Yeah,
And then, two, to be quite honest, there all the flags and all the signs were there.
they show
So
up, man.
they show
Woo.
up.
They do
And
show
not
up.
only their red flags, but my own red
Mine,
flags.
yes,
Right.
all mine. Like, man, I had on them rose-colored glasses, so my red flags was looking green like a mother. Like, I
Right.
couldn't
Like I said,
tell.
even like saying, because there was another guy that I met and I kept saying, and that's why when the girl said, like, oh, he looks good on paper, I was like, dang. Because I sure said this about this guy probably more times than I can even count. But as, hey, true to her word, it turned out to be true.
Yo, Lord.
So,
Bad.
and
Yeah.
that is my own red flag because that
Hey.
means that I know. Like if
Yep.
you're saying this person looks good on paper, what's being implied is that, but they're not in real life. When you
Yep.
can say out of your mouth, this person looks good on paper, that means that subconsciously you're aware that in real
They
life
have
they are
some red
not. You know
flags.
that there's a gap
Yep.
between them on paper and them in real life.
Yep.
So if you got the nerve to say it out your mouth, you might as well back away
Yep. You
because
already know the red flags are there
a red flag is
because
there.
on paper, them
So
red
now,
flags
like
don't show up.
and that's what I've been trying to do too now is literally watch what I say, like listen to my own words
Hmm.
because you'll be surprised the stuff that you say,
Yeah.
the stuff that you say. And you're like, and that's why I say, like, oh, listen to what people say, but also listen to what, because people will tell you some stuff if you really listen to what
Hmm.
people say. And I'm a great listener. But then I also have been telling myself recently, like, listen to what you say because you already knew this.
Mm. And it's
You
gonna
already
show
knew
up.
this. So you are responsible, right? Because you knew this.
Listen, and it always shows up in
Oh,
in
it's a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time.
a matter of time in some way, shape, or
The
form.
avalanche is coming.
It's gonna show up, which is crazy. So that is definitely where I was, where I just chose not to heal, and it left me to do more healing. Like choosing not to heal is going to
It
compound
compounds. It's
the
like
problem.
compounded interest. It's like when you don't pay the
Yeah,
student loan
woo!
for 10 years
And
and
and you get out of deferment to the government
getting out
deferment,
the
and you're like, y'all want me to pay back what? When and where? Jesus, I'm not
yeah,
ready.
it certainly has compounding interest, right?
Absolutely.
And I will say that I think that when you're healing, the dividends seem low, right? Because healing actually hurts.
It
You know what I
does. It
mean?
does.
Like it's so much work. It's so much uncovering. It's so much unpacking, and
Mhm.
it's so much like shocking information. Like what?
Yeah, it's the honest truth. Like it's your
It's the
honest truth.
honest, ugly truth
Yeah.
that you then have to work to then accept
Yep.
and then repair. So
Repair. Yep.
it's a lot. So
Mm.
I totally tapped out. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm in my 20s. I don't need to be healing right now. Who does that?
Who
That
does
sounds like some
that?
30-year-old waiting to exhale stuff that I'm not trying to be on right now.
Yeah, mine was definitely like a long span. It was like 25 to like 32. Like, however old I was, when we went to that Woman Ball conference. That's when I was definitely like, okay, now you're done. Like, get your life together.
That's when you were like, I'm gonna start healing.
Yeah, that's when I was like, you're gonna start healing and you're gonna do it for real. Like, not for
Hmm.
fluff or not to say like you doing it, but like really be intentional about
That's a
being
good
better.
point about doing it for fluff because I felt like when I made the conscious decision, like every now and again, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna read this book, right? But then I'd be like, yeah, love yourself, got it. Next,
Done. Done with that part.
or like, oh yes, I had a really great conversation with Toyana. That was
Mhm.
nice, right?
Mhm.
She
Yes.
pointed out something. I told her to shut up. Right, whatever.
Done.
Done.
Okay.
Next.
But yeah, and it's taking a lot, and it's taking some mistakes and trials, and but then it's definitely coming back to like, okay, do you want to go back to the hurt? Do you want to be back in that space because you know what it
I
feels
think
like?
that there's an illusion there because when you make the decision not to heal, you are practicing avoidance, right?
Mhm.
So then you end up having a lot of fun
Oh
because
yeah.
you're like totally distracting yourself, right? So you're doing
Absolutely.
whatever you're doing, but then eventually you got to cash that check. You wrote a check
Mm.
when you decided not to heal. You wrote a check, and eventually you have to cash in on it.
Oh yeah.
And woe to that day
Listen, you better hope
when you got to
you gotta
cash
pay
in
it. You better hope
because
you
you
got the
don't get to choose
funds.
the consequences of
No.
your actions, right? You can try to predict them, but you don't get to actually choose them because remember you don't get to choose how people respond to you. So
Right.
you think you can play with somebody's feelings or somebody's heart or whatever, do whatever you're gonna do, but however they respond is how they respond, and
Yeah.
whatever happens is whatever happens. And just because you like, okay, when we were at your watch party,
Mhm.
um, we were talking about how Issa cheated on Lawrence,
Yeah.
right? And then Lawrence ends up, finding a real girlfriend, like an actual girlfriend that he really wants to be with, right? But then him and Issa end up coming back together. The girl ends up saying, I'm pregnant, right?
Mhm.
And Issa's hurt, right? Just hurt about this, right? Because, oh, I thought me and Lawrence was finally going to
Right.
move past this. And now there's this baby,
Mm.
right? But the thing is, the starting point was you cheated on Lawrence,
That was it.
right? You don't get to he was trying to actually move on. He was living his life and there's a baby as a result
Yep.
of him trying to move on. So you don't get to, choose what happens. There's a now one of the consequences is there's a baby,
Yep. Yep.
you know?
You are the starter of all this.
Right. What ignited,
Mm.
it's kind of like when guys be like, she slashed with her. Okay, but what happened?
Right.
Right? What
What
what initiated
was a
all of
precursor
this?
to this?
Yeah, right. Get to the root of it, right? And
Listen.
there's more beyond, the cheating, right? There's reasons as to why she cheated, but really that's stuff that she has to own because
Absolutely.
that's your own stuff.
And those are things that she could have communicated as well, which, if you
Right.
watch the show, she's not the best communicator.
No,
So
not the best.
there's
Not
that. But no, I definitely agree. So you don't have a say in the
because in
outcomes.
her mind because somebody at the party was like, well, her consequence was that he went and got him a real girlfriend and now they broke up, so now he gets to come back with her. And I was like, but you don't get to choose.
Right.
You don't get to say how big or small the consequences are. They just are.
They just are
Right. And
because
if Lawrence could have, like, let's just say that he actually married her, that could have just been a consequence. Like, we don't get to pick and choose. There could be a baby, no baby, a wedding, no wedding,
we don't.
like
No
a
matter
girlfriend, no girlfriend.
yeah, no matter how much we want that to happen.
You're
Like
playing Russian roulette,
you are.
right? Because she could have she could have cheated and he could have just took her back right away.
Yeah.
That could have happened too. And he could have never had another girlfriend or anything. So
But
you
we
don't
don't get to
know.
pick.
We don't get to pick.
Because once we
So
make that
that's the risk that
choice,
you're willing to take. You're saying when you choose to do these things, it's worth the risk.
listen,
I'm okay with
you gotta be.
any of the
Listen, yeah,
outcomes.
you gotta be okay
I'm
with
okay
it.
with any of the
Because at the
outcomes.
end of the day, you don't get to
And in my
choose.
case, I was not okay with any of the
It's
outcomes. None of them.
not okay.
But I told myself that I was.
Mm,
But I was wanting to be somebody who I'm not.
yeah.
That's just not who I am. Right. So
Yeah. And same for me. Like, I think I was like fake upset, like appalled, like, you broke up with me. Like, oh my
what?
gosh. When in reality, like I was kind of waiting for that to happen because I knew like this
You were
wasn't
doing
in
stuff
it.
to initiate the
Yeah.
breakup.
Like,
Dude was setting breakup traps.
listen, like I knew that this was not what I was supposed to be in. And then it was just like, now you got to deal with all this now healing from this because you let this go on for so long when
Right.
you should have just let it be a wrap from jump. And you know, I definitely I have to own up to that and be accountable for that. And I have to now move forward with the consequences that comes along with that, whether that be, you know, this person like hates me or whatever. But that's just the consequence and I have to be able to deal with that.
And you know, I think the reason why I knew at the time that it was my fault is
Mhm.
because at that time I was going through all the stuff with my dad. And that's what he was telling me. He was like, you know, right now he was like, y'all don't trust me.
Mm.
And he was like, and that's what I get. Because for however many years I was untrustworthy.
Right.
So it is weird, you know. He was like, I answer my phone when y'all call. He was like, y'all probably be like, is he out getting high? You know?
Right.
And he was like, and that's what I have to
Mm.
accept because
Yeah.
that is what you've seen. So, you know, but
Your dad could like definitely write a book on accountability.
yeah, he definitely could. That's, you know, that's one of the greatest lessons that I would say that I've learned from him, you know,
Mhm.
is accountability because he is very, very much so like,
In tune with it.
this is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that that's his healing, right? Is like I have to accept the pain that I've inflicted on other people, and I don't get to choose how they respond.
Yeah.
So if they don't trust me, well, were you untrustworthy?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that's why they don't trust you,
Yeah.
right? So you know, it's just one of those things where you got to see yourself.
Hey, you got to. It's
You got to see
that
yourself.
like when we went to that conference, like, hey, it says go find that 6-year-old girl, pull her out. Like, let's have a
Go
chat
find your
with
6-year-old self.
your 6-year-old self. Cause
Yes.
you right now, you the reason why you here. Like this is why you
Yeah.
standing in this audience right
Mm-hmm.
now. So we need to pull that 6-year-old you
Go
out.
get her.
And let's, you know, take her by the hand and let's have a chat with 6-year-old you because the you right now is nah, that's why you here. Like you need some healing.
Yeah.
So
The 30-year-old you is here, but the 6-year-old self is the one who came. You
listen,
registered and paid.
listen.
But she's the one who needs to show up.
The 6-year-old, yeah, that's we don't do the work here because yeah, right now the 30-year-old you is you're doing too much.
The 30-year-old you need to sit down.
Sat down, you
Sit
hear me?
down somewhere.
But yeah, man, that's when you sent this topic, I was just like, this is gonna be good because I don't think people think about it like that. Like, what if don't heal? Like,
Yeah, well,
and
what's
what
the
comes along with that? What's the consequence of not healing? Like, I feel like as humans in, you know, the 21st century in this society that we live in, like we don't think of the consequence. We want to do what we want to do right now. And then when the consequences come, we're like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe this is happening."
I can't, but oh my
Yes,
God,
oh
I
my
can't believe
god.
it,
It's
right?
like, "But you did this to yourself.
You signed up on the dotted line. You asked for it.
You did."
You
So,
actually asked for it.
I think this was especially for anybody, like all age ranges, millennials, baby boomers, Xers, like you cannot skip healing. Like it is a part of our human development. There's no way around healing. Like you can suppress and bury you if you think that's what you're doing, but it's going to come out one way or another.
Oh, we have some Ask a
Oh, we
Besties.
do. I meant to look too
I
before
know.
I
I
came and
meant
I
to look
forgot.
too. So
Cracking.
let's try to do some ask the
Let's get it in there.
besties.
What we got?
Yes. So I don't know
That's
if I can
funny.
read this name.
Oh Lord. What? I cannot stand her.
Oh my god. Okay. Some of your favorite holiday memories and or traditions.
Oh, this is a cute
That
one.
is
Cause
cute.
she always be making us think. I'll be like,
Oh,
dang.
the next one we're gonna have to think. So
Oh,
I'm just starting slow. I'm trying to ease
Lord.
us in
Okay.
here.
Oh, a holiday tradition for me is definitely the Home Alone franchise movies. Like it does
Okay.
not feel like the holidays without watching them every single day. Just 1 and 2, not they got 3 and 4 and 5. No, just the ones with Macaulay Culkin is our jam. So it does not feel like Christmas if we have not watched them like daily. Every day we gotta watch it. um Another one for us and my family is definitely opening up Christmas presents at midnight. So we don't
Yes.
do like breakfast and none of that stuff. Like we about at 12 o'clock we are opening these presents, and that's what we do. So we used to literally like sleep by the tree. Like, is it midnight yet? So doing things like that. And my mom is big on like getting kids like their own personalized ornaments. So that was something
Oh,
that,
that's
yeah, my
nice.
mom will always do. She called me the other day, like, you want JR ornament? You want this stocking? I'm like, where are you finding all
Oh,
this
she's so
stuff?
thoughtful.
Yeah, so that's like huge for us. But those are some of the holiday traditions that I can think of. I have not created any with my own son, aside from like maybe just taking pictures. Like I'm really in tune with like taking holiday pictures with my kid. Um, but that's really it. So everything that I do with him, my mom did with us. So
That's interesting that you say that because my brother does the same thing. We too used to stay up. We used to stay up until midnight, so we
yeah,
wouldn't go to bed or
yep.
anything. We would like watch movies, do whatever, stay up till midnight, and then like my stepdad would cook breakfast,
Aw,
and then like we'd be up till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Then you go to bed.
listen.
Um, but I used to love when everybody would meet up at my grandmother's house
Mm,
because she would make these cookies that nobody else could make. They would take
mm.
forever for her to make, but they would just melt right in your
What kind of
mouth.
cookies? Like
So
Pfeffer
she
Noose,
she
like on
called 'em, I
Girlfriends.
don't know what they're called. So she called them starlings, but I don't really
Oh,
know. I can't really tell you. I don't even know how to describe them, but they were amazing. They would just melt. They were like powdered sugar on top of them.
oh, we
They
gonna
would
have to
just melt.
Google
Yes,
that.
but girl, I'm gonna
That's
tell you that we ain't gonna
sweet.
be able to get them the way she
I know
did.
we not ever.
But that was always my favorite part, was just like
I love
meeting up at
that.
grandma's house and seeing like all the cousins, because my dad has 10 siblings. So
Mhm.
seeing all the cousins, cousins, and all of that, that was just always my favorite part. This one year though, I remember my mom went hard in the paint and
Okay.
she got every single thing on that list. And there was so many gifts under the tree. I actually opened each of the, so my mom used to always just get two different colors of wrapping paper.
Mhm.
So one was mine, one was my brother's.
Gotcha.
So I would be like, okay, like if the green ones was his, then the red ones was mine,
Gotcha.
right? And so this one year, I just couldn't take it. I opened every single gift under that
Aw.
tree, and I thought that she didn't know. And so then on Christmas Day, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. This is so amazing. She was like, uh-huh. She waited till I got done. And then she was like, and I know you already knew everything that was under there because you nosy.
You already synced it.
I was like, oh my God,
That
how
is
did she
so
know?
mamas be knowing,
Mamas be
man.
knowing.
Mamas be knowing. Cause yeah, one year we had my mom, I'm like, was she selling drugs? Like, how did you buy
Right. What did
everything?
you, how did you, who did you sleep with to get
Listen.
these gifts?
Listen, Mr. Rodney gave you some money. I don't know what's
What
happening here.
happened?
But I mean, we had everything. That was the year I got the Nintendo 64. Like I had games. Like it was lit. Like mother, how did you do that? Shout out to
Yeah.
mamas for making it happen.
Mamas be making it happen. That's for
Man,
sure.
I love it. You see that meme where it's the mom like sitting on the couch drinking her coffee? Like I said, I wasn't getting y'all nothing but Merry Christmas. She's like got a smirk on her face. The kid's like happy. That's like
That is funny.
black mamas to a
Black
T.
mamas to a
Like,
T.
y'all
Oh
would
my
get
God.
because that's definitely me with my son's birthday being
You
so close to Christmas.
No, but you was like, he ain't getting no party every other day. I was like, yes,
oh
he is.
my
I was like, I hope she didn't
gosh.
say that to him because yes, he is. I'm coming.
I
So,
do tell him that, and then he ended up having a party anyway. So, and then he gets
Black
birthday gifts
mamas.
and Christmas gifts, and I just be
Yes.
like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yes.
So yeah, that was a great question. Makes me all
Yes.
warm and fuzzy for the
And
holidays.
shouts out to Brit, Bestie
Brit,
Brittany,
okay,
sending the
with the
questions.
questions, thank you.
This one says, how often are you keeping your word to yourself?
Mm.
Who are you? Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, what's your elevator speech? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
That's a lot of questions in one.
Yeah. So, how often are you keeping your word to yourself? Who are you? Like, what's your elevator speech? And what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Mm, okay. Trying to think through because that's a lot of stuff together.
I'll try to start.
Okay, go ahead.
Am I keeping? How often am I keeping my word to myself?
Hmm.
That is actually something that recently became a little bit difficult because I made a commitment to myself this weekend, and everything came against me not to do it. So I ended up like. I was supposed to go somewhere. I came late, but I was like, I'm still going. Like everything went wrong, but I was like, I'm still going. I'm doing this. This is what I agreed to do. I am accountable to me. So I think before I would more so keep my words to myself when it was convenient for me. But now, even when it's not convenient, like I'll be like, girl, it's 11 o'clock. You do not have your 10,000 steps. Either you getting on the treadmill or are you dancing? What are you doing? Because those are the only
Hmm.
two options.
Yeah.
Either you're getting these steps in. So chop, chop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once I get up and I do it, I feel better. Like I
Yeah.
feel like, okay, um, who am I? What is my elevator speech? Girl, I'm a bad. I'm just playing.
Hey,
I'm
hey.
just playing. I am Sherry Renee. I am amazing.
Hmm.
I am kind. I think that I am I accept me. The
Hmm.
good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I think that what I try to do, what I hope to do is radiate love and move away
Hmm.
from anything that's unlike that because it's not a match for me.
Absolutely.
Right. So that is what I try
I
to
would
do.
agree. You do. I would say yes.
What advice would I give my 20-year-old self after this conversation with Bestie? I would tell 20-year-old self, do what you know to do.
Hmm.
We not gonna feign ignorance and act like we don't know. You know.
Mm.
There's some things that we do know. Do the thing that you know, even when it's uncomfortable, even when nobody else is doing it,
Yeah.
even when you don't have to, even when nobody's gonna hold you accountable for it. Hold yourself accountable for it because you will reap
That's good.
those. You gotta reap the you got have to reap what you sown.
Got to.
So good. So kindness, so truth.
Hmm.
So truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, and we're gonna do an episode on that. We got Heavenly coming in to
Nice.
talk about that, but we're gonna own our truths. And just because we can't accept our truths, we don't deserve to put other people in lies
Hmm.
because of that. So I would tell my 20-year-old self, girl, you know better.
Yes.
It is your responsibility to do better. It's a choice. Make the choice to do better.
That's good. I love those.
I'm going to ask you
Okay, I
them
was about to say run
again.
them back
I'm going
for
to run
me
them
again.
back. How often are you keeping your word to yourself?
Okay. So that is definitely something that I've been trying to work on. It's easy to just be like, I'm gonna go work out. No, I'm not. Like it's so easy to renege on yourself because, you know, it's stupid to say because I am dependent on myself. So I should not have that mentality. But like if it was something for my work or, the podcast, like I gotta do it because somebody else is dependent on that. But I need to have that same mentality with myself because if I'm not well, like I do have a dependent and literally a kid that's dependent on my well being. So that is definitely something that I am working on. I think it's translating a lot better in obviously career and podcast because it's like, okay, you got to make a move. Like you cannot let this slip, like because you want to get to the next level. I think the next part is really, paying attention to my self care. So, just some small things is like you gonna get your hair done. Like if that's the piece that we gonna do, like I do that every 3 weeks with no missing it because that's something I cannot, deny myself of. That's my time and my moment. So I think in other areas, especially in health and wellness, I need to get better of just, not reneging on myself because again, if I'm not my full whole self, then I'm not helpful to anybody at the end of the
Hmm.
day. So that's still a work in progress, but I feel like I'm getting better every day.
And who are you? Like, what's your elevator speech? If somebody said, who is Chanel?
Yeah, I would definitely say like I'm light and I try to be light for everybody, and I think that's why my son's light shines so bright because that's in part
Like a
who I am.
diamond.
Yeah. That's in part who I am. And I was a little frustrated over the weekend like, "Dang, you are so nice all the time." And sometimes I don't want to be nice and positive all the time, but I feel like that is a part of my purpose of
Mhm.
just helping people, see my light and to make things a little better for other people. But then I also need to pay attention to my light and making sure that, you
You
know,
protect it.
I'm protecting it. Right.
Mhm.
So that was like kind of a wake up call this weekend of what can you do then to be proactive to make sure that you are protecting your light. So that's who I am.
And that's good because then you'll teach him to protect his.
Absolutely.
Yes. And when
Absolutely.
you do that, let me know because I want my niece to I want Princess. If you could
Okay.
protect her light too. We
Listen,
need to do that.
yes.
What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? We got
Ooh.
compounding questions here.
Listen, so much stuff I would like to tell my 20-year-old self. But one of them being like, girl, you are enough. Like,
Yes.
you are it. Like, you are beautiful. You're wonderful. Your worth does not come from a man telling you what your worth is. Like, you are beautiful the way God created you.
Yes. He didn't
Um,
miss a beat.
he didn't miss a beat, and he designed you exactly how you're supposed to be designed. So love your body, love yourself, love the skin you're in, your hair, your nose. Just love everything about yourself, and you are enough. You're qualified, you're smart. So those are all the things that I would tell my 20-year-old self, to be like, girl, just, there's so much in this world that don't feel like, you have to be tied down to somebody to feel complete or to feel whole, but figure out how to be whole with you and to love yourself. So that's what I would have told myself. Yeah. Yes.
That's it.
Listen, that is it,
That is
man.
awesome. I love it. And shouts out to Bestie Brittany for always
Yes.
listening, for always giving us
Come
feedback, for sending us
through.
questions, for
These
being
questions have
our
been
bestie,
awesome.
for
Yes.
making us think, for holding us accountable,
All of that.
and for teaching Ava. Did y'all see Ava this weekend, honey?
Self
Y'all need to look at
care
the
be
amazing Ava
cracking.
Marie, honey. Hey, look, Ava can answer these questions.
Listen, her self-care is like next level. And it's so I
I
love
love
it
it.
because it's not like luxury. It's like this is the norm.
This is the norm.
And
This is my
I
routine.
can't wait to talk to Rachel from Rachel V Cosmetics about,
Yes.
self-care, because she brought that up at the Sip and Speak. Like, we need to get it out of our head that this is a luxury thing when this is what we
Right.
need to
This is
do
what we need to
anyway.
do. Yes. But I was inspired by Ava this weekend.
Listen
Okay.
here, Ava. I mean, skin was popping, hair was popping.
Right.
Like,
I was like, okay, shoot, let me do my turmeric mask real
listen
quick.
here, listen. I'm like, yes, let me get my Neutrogena, like,
Mhm.
the one with the beads in it. Then I was like, okay,
Yes.
then I'm gonna do
Exfoliate.
my exfoliants, yes, and then I'm gonna do kind of like my little soothing gel one after that. So I had like a step process for my
Yes.
skin this
And
weekend.
Ava's gonna do our hair and makeup, remember? So
Yes, and our
and
nails.
our nails. So shouts
Yeah,
out to the amazing Ava
so
Marie
cute.
and
Shout
shouts out
out.
to the amazing Brittany
Yes,
for being our
amazing.
bestie.
Thank you for being a friend. You're like the definition
You
of
are the
friends.
epitome.
Yes, thank you.
What goes in our to go box?
This is a good episode. I love when that happens, man. Like,
I
you don't
know,
really know
right?
what to
I didn't even know
expect.
what to expect either, but I was just like, well, what does happen when we don't heal? Because
It
there's
was
consequence.
good.
Every choice has a consequence,
It
right?
does.
To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
There.
So let's talk about it. And
Listen.
we did.
So I think what I'm gonna put in the to go box for everybody who is listening, and this is what I want you to take away. Like, don't try to skip the steps. Don't try to skip the process of healing. If you're Greek, you know about shortcuts, and not healing is a shortcut. And don't try to skip out on that process, because healing is, like I've been saying, is so much a part of our human development, and it's going to make you evolve to that next level. So do the process. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good. There are going to be days where you don't absolutely don't want to, but when at the end of the day, like, once you start to heal and process those traumas and those hurts, it's going to make you so much better than you were before. um so just try to get through it. the best way that you can and make sure that you see it through so that you can get to the other side.
I love it. I'm going to say don't make short term commitments with long term consequences,
Mm.
right? So that could be the wrong relationship. That could mean not committing to yourself to heal, right? The short term commitment is, I don't need to heal. I'm just going to have fun. And then the long term consequences is now you got compounded healing that needs to happen because of the choice that you didn't make. And now you got to stand in that. So that is what I am taking away. Thanks for tuning into Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time,
Peace.
peace.